What is happening, sports fans? It is your main man, Matt, from the DFS 5-pack. I am rocking it solo. It is Wednesday, November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving. Got 3 NFL games to break down. Members-only video came out just a little bit ago, so wanted to hop on here and make the public version. We got a full NBA slate tonight, which me and probably DFS Patriot will be crushing later this afternoon. But wanted to get this NFL vid out because I know people are craving some football, as they always are. Let me screen share this and we'll dive right in. Not the most aesthetically pleasing slate, if you will. A bunch of crappy games. That said, there's always money to be made as far as DFS purposes go. I kind of like these slates more from a real life standpoint. And I definitely want some action on these games if I'm going to be watching. I said that in the members only video, and it only stands more true the later in the day we go. So that said, we got 3 games starting with Chicago and Detroit. I got 5 guys up here. I think they're solid plays in all formats. I think, a couple of them are better in cash and vice versa. Starting with David Montgomery. Bears are road favorites here. I actually think Detroit is very live to win this game. I'm going to bet Detroit in this spot probably. Not sure yet, but probably. That said, Montgomery is just a really strong look at 6K. Again, Bears favorites on the road. He's going to get the lion's share of the workload here. Andy Dalton at quarterback really helps his cause because obviously Justin Fields isn't afraid to, run it himself. Dalton is a guy that is going to hand the ball off more and check down more. So big boost to Montgomery. We've seen that earlier in the year. Montgomery was awesome with Dalton at quarterback. There's just a lot to like about him here in all formats, specifically cash games. I imagine he gets a ton of love. And if you're making a cash game lineup, you just plug him in and move on. In tournaments, I don't think you have to play him. There's a couple other running backs I like a lot, but you could do worse than playing him at 6K, that's for sure. Another running back I like a lot, maybe a little bit more in tournaments, but again, all formats, is DeAndre Swift. If you didn't see his touchdown run against my Browns last week, I'd recommend you go and check that out because it was disgusting. He is special, obviously electric. And in a game that I think Detroit is very live to win, I like Swift a lot. He's pretty much game script proof because he gets enough targets in games they're trailing. That game in Cleveland had awful weather. So at this price point, I'm hoping that Swift might go a little bit lower owned than he should because he's right there with Zeke. Elliot is the best running back on the slate. I like both those guys a lot. For the purposes of this video, I wanted to talk about Swift because I think he's my preferred option in tournaments. All right, moving on down to a guy I think is just solid looking all formats. It's going to be Traequan Smith. So was already a solid play. Now with Adam Trautman out, I think you only see his target share increase. He's seen 15 targets over the past 2 weeks. Scored twice in the past 4 games. More solid than spectacular, but he's 4,400. I mean, that price tag just works as a value play in all formats. I like Traequan Smith a lot here in a game that the Saints will probably be throwing, considering Kamara and maybe Ingram are likely to be out. All right, moving on down, bringing up 3 wide receivers here because I like all 3 of these guys a lot. So Hunter Renfro, coming off a lackluster performance last time out, only 4 targets. Had seen 8+ in the 3 weeks before that, and I imagine we're going to see more of that Renfro this week. Again, he's another guy like Traequan Smith, more solid than spectacular. Renfro's really going to give you that 30 DK point game. That said, in a game that I expect a decent amount of offense, I like the Raiders side a lot more than the masses do. Renfro is one of my favorite plays on the slate at 5,600. I think you just I think you just plug him in and move on. I don't think that, but I think in tournaments, he's one of my favorite plays. And in cash games, I think he's a solid look. The only reason I don't think he's just a lock in and move on type guy is there's a bunch of good wide receivers on this slate. As is, I'm bringing 3 up here, and there's probably, a dozen more than that are at least in play. Maybe not a dozen, but quite a few, to say the least. All right, last but not least, Stefan Diggs. So this is one I definitely like more in cash games. I imagine he gets a ton of love on this slate because you have to spend your money somewhere. CeeDee Lamb might play now, so that might eat into Diggs' ownership a little bit. But even still, Josh Allen expected to get a lot of love. People want to pair Diggs with him. In cash games, I think you just play him and go about your business. It's hard to fade Diggs in the spot. Only 3 games. He's the best receiver on the slate. they're touchdown favorites on the road. In tournaments, I don't think he's a must play. I'm interested in other guys. There are other receivers on this slate that I like quite a bit. I do not mind leaving salary on the board. And if Diggs just has a mediocre game and you fade him, I think you got a big leg up. So that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I got some new things going on that I'm excited to talk to you guys about in the near future. And yeah, hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. As I mentioned earlier, NBA slate will be coming out with content this afternoon. Might only make one video for that. So if you don't like those long videos, I apologize, but a lot of people do. So can't please everyone, as they like to say. And that's all I got for you guys. As always, appreciate you and stay safe. Thanks.